Hi, I'm John and welcome back to my Lair of Action Figures. Today I'm going to be reviewing a figure from Sideshow Collectibles. This is, of course, Clone Commander Wolffe from the 104th Battalion, the Wolf Pack. Now, of course, while the box is going to be spinning, I'm going to give you some details about suggest retail price, when they went up for pre-order, and also when they did estimately ship, because I do not remember. So while we're admiring the box, I'm going to be giving you all those details. So this figure went up on the 29th of April 2013 as a pre-order, and the estimate time of shipping was the fourth quarter of 2013. Now, I do not have the exact date when I got it, but anyway, that's irrelevant due to the fact that as a distributor, you will be getting your stuff way later than all the other ones. Of course, Sideshow is going to first sell to directly like they do, and then afterwards it will sell to the shops in the US, and then the rest of the world will be getting the figures. I'm talking about Europe. Asia is a bit different due to the fact that they're closer by. So this item was 100,199, and the suggested retail price for this figure was of $159.99. Of course, this does not include taxes, nor does it include shipping. So, as you can see, pretty good price for what we get in it, and personally, this is one of my favorite clone commanders, not because of the fact of who he is, what the Wolfpack, or was he created by Dave Filoni, has nothing to do with it. It is because we are getting a lot of gear in this figure, who is not the case, and I will be talking also about the difference between the Hot Toys and the Sideshow version versus prices. Of course, I'm not going to go into the details of telling you, yes, the box, the figure might be a little bit better from Hot Toys due to the fact that the articulations on the Clone Trooper will be better. But anyway, that's going to be it. Now, let's dive into the history of this guy over here. Now, let's dive into the history of this figure. So, of course, I've opened the box so you can admire. You have some little explanation on Clone Commander Wolffe and his 104 Battalion. And while we're giving it a spin, we're going to be jumping in. So, this character never appeared in the movies. He was based on Clone Wars, the animated version, the second one, not the one who was on Cartoon Network with 5 episodes. Then he also did an appearance in Rebels, where he is with Commander Gregor and Captain Rex. They are sent with the Phoenix Squad to go after, Ahsoka tells them to go and check them out. So, of course, Kanan is a bit wary about the clones due to the fact that he lived through Order 66. Now, Commander Wolffe also appears in the Bad Batch TV show. So, yeah, he kind of is missing in action currently, so we don't know much of his whereabouts, but he is one of the clones that did survive Order 66 and seems to have also outlived, the Return of the Jedi, and may have continued a bit longer after that, even if the clones did have some aging hormones in them and made them grow older faster. So anyway, it's this figure, or this character, was created by Dave Filoni. Anybody who knows Clone Wars, who knows a bit about Dave Filoni, knows that he has a bit of an obsession about wolves, and he kind of puts them all over the place. The dire wolves, you have them in so-called dire wolves on Lothal. You have wolves a bit everywhere, so this is something who's typically for Dave Filoni. Now that we've given this figure a spin, let's have a look at what we have in it, and let's talk about it. So, what do we get in the box? Of course, we get Commander Wolffe. I'm going to be doing a better close-up afterwards, but this is mostly to pinpoint out what we have. We have an extra head sculpt over here. We have the jetpack. We have 2 different helmets over here, the Phase 1 and the Phase 2 helmets of the clones. You get a lot of hands. This is something that I highly appreciated with Sideshow. You got a whole bunch of them. In total, there's 13 different hands. Then afterwards, you got 2 pairs of feet. You got a thermal detonator. Then we have also his DC-15A blaster carabine, and we have 2 DC-17 pistols. Now let's have a closer look at the figure. Oh, I nearly forgot before doing that. Of course, we get the standard stand that we have with every figure. Of course, there was an exclusive version where there would be the logo of the 104 Battalion Clone Troopers. So yeah, it's a little accessory more that was only available from Sideshow. I'm not going to go, I'll be doing a video this week talking a bit about Sideshow, and this is going to, well, be looking into more of what the differences with the exclusive and the non-exclusives. So let's have a closer look at the figure itself. So of course, as you can see, head sculpt is pretty neat. I like the fact that Hot Toys wanted to go, not Hot Toys, Sideshow wanted to go onto a more, how can we say, look of the Clone Wars. So this is something that I highly appreciate. As you can see, the figure itself is pretty neat. And the way there's the fabric underneath was pretty nice compared to some of the older models who did not have this kind of fabric. Of course, this comes off when you remove the head, so you can decide when you want to put it on. You can pull this off if you want to. So this is a little nice touch to it. But as you can see, head sculpt looks pretty neat. So of course you have two different head sculpts because he was a bit less battle damage, and as you can see over here, his eye is not as, it was not replaced because I think, if I'm not mistaken, he got an electronic upgrade for his eye, so you still have the scarf over here. But as you can see, the two head sculpts, there's a bit of a difference. You can still see his eye is a bit less white. On the other one, it's totally white. As you can see, I mean, Sideshow did a pretty good job with the head sculpts over here, so I cannot really complain about it, and I really like what they did. So of course, something that a lot of people may not know, and I think Sideshow gets a lot of flack for, you have to remember that mostly all the clone troopers, or the, how do you call it, the stormtroopers, are technically bodies made by Hot Toys, and the rest is of course Sideshow. They worked in collaboration to do it. So not on every box, but if you have some of the older boxes from Sideshow Collectibles, you will see that on the bottom of the box, you will have the little Hot Toy logo. So here I have one here. I'm going to quickly show it here. As you can see, Hot Toys. I'm not going to tell you which one this is. It's going to be for our next review. So yes, as you can see, Hot Toys has been part of doing these figures. So when Hot Toys is doing them now, it's not really like they didn't have any idea of what they were doing. So of course, this puts also a bit to rest the problem about Sideshow having loose articulations, because the bodies are Hot Toys. Anyway, let's go back into the review of the figure. We're going to be talking about the helmets. Now, of course, this is the Phase 1 helmet over here. Phase 2 helmet. This over here, as you can see, it has the mouth protection over here. You have, of course, the possibility to bring this down. Of course, this is the targeting system over here. So as you can see, there's some pretty neat details on the helmet. The helmet itself is pretty nice. Like I said, Sideshow did a pretty good job with the figure. Then afterwards we have the Phase 1 helmet over here, who's also pretty neat and has a lot of details on it. As you can see, you can also bring this down. Now, personally, I don't mind, but I try to pull them out when I have them in storage so that they don't break, because these are little points that can be very fragile. Now, of course, we're going to be having a look at the DC Blaster, 17 Blaster pistols. So you can see, this is pretty basic. They have a bit of weathering on it, so nothing much extraordinary. So we're going to be having a look at this other weapon over here, who's the DC-15A Blaster carabine. So of course this can move out. I don't remember if this is exactly the weapon that I got with this figure, but let's be honest, these are all exactly the same weapons. As you can see, there's some weathering on it, there's some little scratches, who makes it pretty nice as a overhaul if you want to talk about the weathering. So yep, they did a pretty good job. As you can see, also the fact that the armor is not totally white and has a lot of dirt on it, there's some cool weathering. Afterwards we get one thermal detonator, who's a nice little add to the figure. Then of course we get his jetpack. So when I will be building up the figure and giving you my final thoughts about it, I'm going to tell you more and show you how this fixes up. Now, of course, something that is also pretty nice from our friends at Sideshow is the fact of getting these feet. As you can see, you can pose them in this kind of way so that he is walking. So this is something that is really nice to have. It's a small accessory that they included with it, and I really like it. I also do like the fact that you have these huge pegs and not like Hot Toys who has smaller ones. So these have a tendency of being very hard to break. Telling you the truth, I have only two who have broken. One was my fault, and the other one was sadly maybe during storage something happened and I had a hand who broke, and I have a Captain Rex who also had one of these who broke, but that's because he jumped from the shelf to the floor, and that's the reason why it happened. Otherwise, I never had any kind of problems with it. Let's have a closer look at the hands over here. So, of course, like I said, we do have a lot of hands. So here we have the fists, we have the thumbs up on both sides, as you can see. So these fit pretty neatly. Afterwards, we have the pointing hand over here. Then we have the two pointing hand figure. Then we have the open two fingers like the V over here. Then, of course, we have the relaxed hand who's on the figure over here with his other rest hand. Then, of course, we also have the blaster hand over here, who is exactly the same as over here. And then we have the saluting hands, or the, if you want, the straight hands in this way. So could be saluting, could be waving, or could be putting a halt onto something. As you can see, there is really a lot of stuff. Also, wanted to have a quick note, because this is something that's going to be coming up on my final thoughts and the comparison with the Hot Toys. Of course, we have some details, and it looks like the one Hot Toys has a different setting. So the gauntlet, there's two gauntlets with the Hot Toy one. So this is where we're going to be getting into. So this part is going to be over with the close review. Now I'm going to be giving you my thoughts about this figure. Is it a collectible item? And what are my final notes about this figure? So, what are my final thoughts, and what is my note out of 10 for this figure? So, and also, is it a collectible item? Well, yes, this figure is a collectible item. Of course, we're going to put the backpack on, and I think that it does have some pretty high value collectible to it, due to the fact that even if Hot Toys is coming out with their version of the figure, I mean, Hot Toys has less gear, and also the price is pretty expensive. And also the problem with Hot Toys, if you've been watching my reviews and videos about it, well, you know that I'm not a big fan of them, due to the fact that they're doing a lot of 2.0s or other figures like that, and who kind of brings down the value of the figure. So as you can see, I'm going to be putting down, you can see, can give him the walking pace. So really pretty cool. So this is why I truly believe that this has a certain collectible value to it. And like I said, so much gear coming with it. So yes, it is a valuable figure. So if you can find it on the secondary market for a pretty decent price, I would strongly suggest that you pick it up, because he is really worth it. Now, of course, like I've said, the figure was sold for $159, well, let's call it $160, versus the Hot Toys today, who is, of course, at $280. Now, if we're looking at the comparison of Hot Toys, you will notice that there's a huge difference with the price, because we are versus $280. Now, what do we have as a difference with these figures over here is that you have, like I said, a second gauntlet over here. So that makes it also something who's a little niche accessory. You have a data pad that is not included, and Hot Toys only gives 7 hands with the figure. And also, if you have the jetpack, you will have the little blaster effects who are given with most of the clones who have backpacks. So if you really think about it, you're paying a lot of money, $280, and you're not getting that much on it. Of course, you get a stand like all the figures, but I don't think it's worth this kind of money. So I think Hot Toys kind of, how can we say, is kind of overcharging. Yes, like I said, maybe the articulations will hold better, but as you can see, this one does have some pretty cool articulations and has been posed, change of direction many times over the years. So of course this figure and also has maybe fall down a few times in the vitrine, so that's maybe not the best example, but that can show you how solid this figure is. And it's been out for a little while, and I've been mucking around with it, taking pictures, so you can go and check that out on my Facebook page. But as you can see, this figure is pretty decent for the $159 it came out at the time. So yes, I do love this figure. So I'm going to put it on a stand, show you a little spin around of it, and I will be giving you my notes on this figure. So while we're going to give it a spin with, so you can admire the figure, of course I have the mint in box figure who's currently on sale on eBay. If you're interested in the figure, you can shoot me an email, contact me through Facebook if you are interested, just in case. So also when I was talking about Hot Toys only gives one head sculpt. So if you really think about it, for $159, knowing the head sculpt is maybe one of the most expensive parts of a figure to create, even if they all look the same because they're clones, it still puts you at a very good value for the figure. So that's another point I wanted to point out about our friends at Hot Toys versus Sideshow. So as you can see, you're paying nearly what is it, $150 more for $130 more for the figure approximately, and you're getting a lot less stuff than the other figure. Now, how does it hold up in time? It does hold up pretty good. Like I said, 2013 got the figure, 2014 maybe, and I've been, like I said, mucking around with it. Now, something you have to know, I have the little antenna over here who broke off because sadly it fell off, because yeah, that's a problem when you're moving. Even if you package them well, those little things can happen and break. Of course, this is something that is extremely fragile and can happen. There's also the helmet, also has can have some issues with the little part over here, who has a tendency of can be easily broke, so you will have to be careful about it. So I'm going to be breaking down this into different parts. I'm going to be talking about the packaging, I'm going to be talking about the figure. So for me, the packaging is a 10 out of 10. The reason I'm giving this a 10 out of 10, it's not to do because I was working with Sideshow, it's because I think the box is simple. You have a bit of a history, like a file card, something who's missing on our G.I. Joe Classified series. Little pun towards Hasbro for that. But as you can see, you get a lot of information on the figure. It's really well packaged. You can see everything that you get in it. It's pretty clear. So for me, this box is a 10 out of 10. Now for the figure, I'm going to be giving it a 9.5. I could give it a 10 out of 10 because, I mean, the figure is great. It holds up through time. I have nothing who broke on it, who is not, of course, from my responsibility. The little antenna that fell off was my fault. So I'm going to give this also a 10 out of 10. I really think this figure is great. As a collectible item, I will also give this a 10 out of 10. Remembering that Sideshow doesn't have much of a 2.0. They do some from time to time, but this is not their specialty, and they haven't relaunched any of the clone troopers that they've made in the past. There was not a reissued version or a 2.0, if we can call it like that. So this puts it as a lot more interesting value as a collectible, because if you have one like this, well, you can ask for good money today, because even if Hot Toys is coming out, as I've proven in this video, and you can tell me if you agree or not with it, there's a lot more stuff with this figure for a better price. So I don't think this figure is going to drop in value. Might be some people who will drop it down because they want to get it moving and they need some cash. So that's when you might do a good bargain. But for me, This is a great deal, really 10 out of 10, really fantastic figure, and really love everything about this figure. So that's going to be it for my review of Commander Wolffe, CC3636, who's a bit funny as a number, from the 104th Battalion of the Wolf Pack. So if you like this kind of videos, please leave a like, share, comment in the section, subscribe to the channel, it does help out a lot. And I would like to thank all the people who have subscribed to the channel, who is helping out a lot. I still have to get the number of hours of view up, so if you can help me with that, that would be highly appreciated. You want to go and see some pictures? I don't think I have any ones of Commander Wolffe out for now. I'll have to wait for, how is it called, Hot Toys to come out with the 104 Battalion Clone Troopers, because sadly I only have one, and I need a bit more to build up a little Clone Trooper unit to go with our friend Wolffe. So, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!